William Howard Taft was the 27th President of the United States. He was elected in November 1908 and served until March 1913. But among U.S. presidents, he is unique in that he remains the only president who was later appointed to the Supreme Court. As if that distinction wasn't enough, he was appointed Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, where he served from 1921 to just before his death in 1930. This short speech he recorded during the presidential campaign of 1908 summarizes his concerns with the growth of corporate conglomerates and their use of unfair trade tactics to crush smaller businesses. Taft came from a wealthy family, as did his mentor, Teddy Roosevelt. Both men were well aware that in the heat of competition, some business people would resort to price fixing and other predatory practices to squeeze their competitors out of the market. Federal antitrust laws were passed as early as 1890, but trying to enforce them was a different matter entirely. This is the problem that President Taft discusses in this speech. Ironically, the call for reform of the antitrust laws is still going on today, as multinational corporations have emerged to complicate the enforcement of these old statutes. Therefore, President Taft's remarks are as timely today as they were over 100 years ago.
Mr. Roosevelt has set high the standard of business morality and obedience to law. The Railroad Rate Bill was more useful, possibly in the immediate moral effect of its passage, than even in the legal effect of its very useful provision. From its enactment dates the voluntary abandonment of the practice of rebates and discriminations for the railroads, and the return by their managers to obedience to law in the fixing of tariffs. The pure food and meat inspection laws and the prosecution directed for the President under the antitrust law have had a similar moral effect in the general business community and have made it now the common practice for the great industrial corporations to consult the law with a view to keeping within its provisions. It has also had the effect of protecting and encouraging smaller competitive companies so that they have been enabled to do a profitable business. But we should be blind to the ordinary working of human nature if we did not recognize that the moral standards set by President Roosevelt will not continue to be observed by those whom cupidity and a desire for financial power may tempt, unless the requisite machinery is introduced into the law, which shall in its practical operation maintain these standards and secure the country against a departure from them. The chief function of the next administration, in my judgment, is distinct from and a progressive development of that which has been performed by President Roosevelt. The chief function of the next administration is to complete and perfect the machinery by which these standards may be maintained, by which the lawbreakers may be promptly restrained and punished, but which shall operate with sufficient accuracy and dispatch to interfere with legitimate business as little as possible. Such machinery is not now adequate.